Honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed about that question, but you thought obviously it's good.
I enjoy every day of it. We're giving our supporters some joy and some belief and some hope.
You know, there's no law. There's no one's going to die.
Yeah, bin it, mate. Just bin the whole idea. Just forget about it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast. We have a sponsor this week, actually, Will.
Do we?
Little known restaurant, hopefully more known after this, family owned, mom and pop kind of a shop. McDonald's. I think they're Irish by the sounds of it. I'm pretty sure they're Irish. Yeah, this episode is sponsored by McDonald's. One of the good guys out there. It's not many of them left. It's us, McDonald's, BlackRock, Knight Media. Just not many left, you know. So we're supporting those boys. I told you about this, didn't I? I told you that we were sponsored by McDonald's. We were going to be the face of McDonald's.
No, this is news. Do you know what? I'm all for it though. What have they ever done?
Which if McDonald's actually said, "Listen, lads, we need to save face here. We need the No Nonsense podcast." Would you say yes?
Whoa. I don't think we have the audience yet for the backlash. I think we'd be all right.
Bear in mind, it's about as likely as happening as us to be guests on that other show. So you can say what you want. You can take the moral high ground here. You'll never have to back it up ever.
Yeah, it'd be fun if we got to answer DMs like that though. Just like, fuck off.
Go fuck yourself. Who the fuck you think you are? Fuck you. I mean, I think the biggest thing with that, it's kind of like Jordan Henderson going to Saudi Arabia for that money. It's like, yeah, okay, well, if I get offered that kind of money, that'd be one thing, but they're already rich. They don't need the money.
They're like the top podcast.
It's the relevancy of it. It's like, yeah, I mean, because I was having this conversation with them, and like, would you work for McDonald's or that? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, what if they offered to triple your salary? I was like, okay, well, first of all, 000 is 0, so same. Second of all, we don't know if it was triple. And third of all, again, if I had like everything in my life sorted, I had like house and health insurance, all that, that'd be pretty easy to say no if I cared, you know?
Yeah.
I just think it's an easy no if you don't need it. But yeah, don't worry. We'll never have to probably face those moral conundrums, I'd say. Not with games like fucking Man City Arsenal. Jesus, that was boring.
Oh my God. Is that the worst game of the season?
It was just so hyped in people's minds because you had the international break. So like coming back to like, okay, biggest game of this season, the Premier League final. And it was just like, don't lose at all costs. That's all it was. And it was passing and fouling and no risks. And, you know, whatever few shots came, they were fumbled as well by Haaland. Had that one where he kind of stumbled over the ball, which is quite weird for him. But like, it was just very little to report from it, you know?
Very little. To the point where when we were talking about the Wolves Coventry game, we were talking about how the game was so good that the FA Cup YouTube channel uploaded the full 100 minutes to the channel. I was looking up the highlights of the game today, just catching up, making sure I didn't forget anything from this glorious game. The highlights were exactly 2 minutes and 1 second long.
Yeah, probably too much, to be honest. I don't know what they were putting in that 2 minutes.
Highlights was a stretch. And it was funny as well because you could hear in the highlights, I'd kind of forgotten as I was watching the game, but you could hear in the highlights Drury desperately trying to make anything entertaining.
God bless him. He's doing his best out there.
He gave it a go.
What he was given. Yeah, like a game of chess, Will.
Worse.
You know, Sarah's actually playing a lot of online chess these days.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, more and more actually. It's weird how much she spends playing the chess rather than, you know, talking to me. But there's a thing in chess where it can follow people around. Like if you have enough people, like the king moves and you can just like mirror his steps and he'll never catch you.
Yeah.
Like he'll never get, you can just like keep stepping away and the app will say, all right, enough of this, game over, awarded to whoever. They'll just cut it off. Even chess says this is too boring even for chess. So when a football game is described as chess, there should be a mercy rule like, okay, stop us. Somebody, this is boring. This is killing everything. This is not going to sell any tickets anywhere.
This is more like a game of Boggle or something.
Yeah. Or a game of cards in a pub. Like, remember those, what was that drinking game that you had to follow the path and then if you fell over, you had to start again?
Cross the bridge? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, something like that. I have a distinct memory in a pre-drinks of some sort that we were there I think you were there in the game. There's 3 people like continuing trying to cross the bridge as like the girls were in the kitchen talking amongst themselves. Or there was 3 lads trying to desperately finish this game of bridge. Like, lads, this is not the point. We want to break the ice here. I just kept going over and over again. That's what the Arsenal game felt like. It felt like a never-ending game of cross the bridge.
Yeah.
And except I was very sober. So it was terrible.
We were looking up some stats there just to check.
Yeah.
Because again, it's hard when you're watching the game to know what's actually going on sometimes. And the stats make the game sound even worse than it was somehow. It's insane. A whopping 70% possession from Man City and 1 shot on target.
Yeah, I think it was 77%.
Oh my God.
Or 73%. Yeah, 73%, 88% pass actually. 700 passes and 1 shot. I mean, it was just insane levels of we were saying before that Simpsons meme where,
Halfback, passes to center, back to wing, back to center, center holds it, holds it, holds it!
like that was literally it,
Yeah.
The low block, as it's been popularly called these days. Do we have a clip of Pep? Does it have the low block, or is it just the quotes that we have?
No, we have the clip of he was speaking about the low block, how difficult it could be to break it down. So someone asked, what could we do, Pep, in your galaxy brain going forward to overcome this issue? And he had this to say.
You just mentioned the low block. When they hardly allow you to enter the box, what's the solution?
Kill someone, play with 9. So, yeah.
I love Noid Pep. He's the best character in the Premier League, I think.
He is. He's making a real claim this season, Colin. I don't know how you feel about this. I think he's a future no-nonsense Hall of Famer for the amount of content he's given us this season.
I love when the Premier League mentions their Hall of Fame again.
Yeah, it's so weird. You can vote on it now. I swear that you couldn't do that before.
I mean, they put in the obvious ones at the start, Gerrard, Beckham, Scholes. And I think this was like, who was it recently they were trying to put in? Michael Carrick, maybe?
Yeah, it's Michael Carrick, Gary Cahill.
Gary Cahill, was it? Yeah, someone who I was like, yeah, kind of. But it's just like there's no desire for this. No one wants this at all. No one cares at all. But they put the effort in to say new inductee in the middle of the season for some reason. Like it's not even like an end of season class. It's just like now and again they'll say, right, we're struggling for them on the socials, boys. What we do? Hall of Fame? Oh, who's in there that shouldn't be in there already? Michael Carrick, maybe?
Why don't they do like a Ballon d'Or type ceremony like that at the end of the season? If you had the Player of the Season award and all this, and then it's like, all right, here's a little 5-minute speech from Rooney. Here's a little 5-minute speech from Henry. That would actually be pretty entertaining, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, instead they just kind of said, oh, by the way, you're in the Hall of Fame. It's like, is it a real hall?
No.
No, it's an
Instagram post.
Like a thing. It's not real. It's not a real hall. If there's a real hall, put your picture up there and you got to hang your picture up or even like, the hands and the stars on the ground. Something. But like just say you're in the Hall of Fame. It's on Instagram. I'm going to check it out there. Go back a few posts there. Few weeks there, it's back there, but you're in it.
Yeah, it's 12 posts back today.
It wasn't a great game. The big story, I guess, was Haaland, who, I mean, as ineffectual as Foden was, as ineffectual as De Bruyne was, I mean, everyone was. I mean, they owned the ball. Arsenal had pretty much all their players there. They had 4 centre backs playing the back, played a low block. I would defy any team to get past that, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but the story was Haaland is bad. He's not good enough. His build-up play isn't enough. We're literally back to, is he good for the system? Does he fit in the Pep system of play? Like they won the treble last year and people have forgotten. Like they have genuinely forgotten, right? That like, yeah, but is it good in the long run? It's like, long run? I mean, they won everything there was to win. I mean, and they could win, and they're still in all those competitions this year.
Yeah.
And then one bad game against Arsenal is like, I don't think Haaland is actually good at all. I think he's a bad player, in fact. It's like, what are you talking about?
It was insane because like the criticisms against him of like, yeah, he can score every shot he ever takes, but what about his link-up play? What about, how he pulls things together? It's like, what the fuck? What are they expecting of this man? Yeah, I know he's the best goal scorer in the world, but why isn't he also the best passer in the world too?
Yeah, I mean, there was the clip going around of the pre-warm-up game, the pre-warm-up training thing. What's that called?
Rondo.
Sorry, the Rondo, yeah. And he was just like, there was a similar clip, I think a year or two after Van Persie had left United at Galatasaray. Remember that? And
Yes.
he was just not into it. He was like, I don't care about this at all. I'm not doing this. The ball came through, just like kicked it away, and everyone looked at him like, what are you doing here? It was kind of like that. He was kind of like kicking it, but he wasn't like trying really hard and like failing. He was kind of like, just give me the ball. I'll kick in the goal. Like, it wasn't,
Like, when is he going to be involved in a Rondo situation on the pitch? That's not his job.
I've never seen that, no. And again, it worked pretty well. They won the treble. You know, he scored a lot of goals this year, not as many as last year. Maybe that's just the bar now. I mean, what he scored last year? 38 goals, was it?
Hey, something insane, yeah.
He broke the record, as we all know. This year he's on 18 Premier League goals with 9 games left. So, I mean, he could get back to the level of where he was at last year, but I mean, it would take a lot of goals. So he will probably fall short of what he did last year. So, literally by his own metric, he's not as good as last year. But like I say, they're still in every competition. You know, they were 2 points off the top of the league. I just think it's
hard to tell now. Everyone's kind of just mushed up there.
I think it's just like when the game is 0-0. Like I was watching obviously on TV, and then it was like facing down the barrel of a Roy Keane, Mika Richards like analysis after. I was like, oh fuck, am I watching that? Like I watched it. I don't need anybody to tell me how bad that was. You know, but like that's what it is. You're there for the next half an hour, 45 minutes dissecting that game. There has to be something from us. And Roy Keane came out with this hot take that his overall play is like that of a League Two player.
The levels of his general play is so poor, and not just today. I think his laying stuff off, living headers or whatever it might be. In terms of front of goal, he's the best in the world. But for his general play, for such a player, it is so poor. Not just today. I think he has to improve that. He's almost like a League Two player. That's the way I look at him. His general player has to improve, and it will do over the next few years. This brilliant striker is fantastic, but he has to improve his all-round game.
League Two. That's insane.
And this is the guy who we interviewed 4 times. Like, please, you know, the fact that if he had Haaland, like, I'm going to bench him. I'm putting in Adamita. He's got way more in his build-up play. Like, you know, I think it was just one of those things where like, I needed something. And he said, not just because of today, overall, other games this season, but I couldn't say it because it would have been insane to say it then. But now I'm going to say it. Like, it just, I think that people have been very harsh on Haaland, you know. And who are they playing next? Aston Villa, I think it is. God love them. He's going to score 5, I'd say. After all this.
Yeah.
Hair down.
Is Haaland back?
Yeah. You know, he'll be back to where he should be. But there was that, I guess, story from that. And then the other thing was Jack Grealish getting Balkan.
Yeah, he got a Balkan. Pep did his famous thing of, well, that was a bad game. Time to make it about me.
Playing to the cameras again, you know.
Yeah, he loves it. But he also, did you see Grealish's quotes from before the game?
No.
He was asked about playing in away games and why he always gets booed when he's on the ball. And he very sadly said, do you know what? I actually don't know. He said, look, I tried to make a positive out of it, you know, spur it on. But yeah, it's quite hurtful.
Does he get booed every game, does he?
Well, he gets booed a lot because it's just, I don't know, he's a big character. Like we said at the start of the season, that was what City needed, was the characters, the bad guys. But he is actually a pretty lovely player, so it's a weird one.
No, he's not particularly dirty, or it doesn't go over too. I guess he does get fouled a lot, but he's not that. He doesn't go over that easy. I guess, you know, he doesn't play enough to have that kind of reputation.
It nearly feels like he gets booed because fans think like, he'll love that. He'll enjoy this.
He loves the banter. You know, he's a banter merchant.
Meanwhile, he's a tear rolling down his eyes like fucking your man in Simpsons.
Yeah, no, I think we need to get the hashtag going. Free Jack, free my man
free
Jack. Get him out of Man City. Get him loose again. You know, he'd be good on like on a contender again. No, I'm not saying he's not good enough for the level, but somewhere he's the main man. You know, without the kind of pressure of having to have output. You know, how many goals and assists. I think somewhere like, do you know what? I think when Klopp goes and Liverpool are in like a bit of a weird kind of transition phase, I could see them making an outrageous bid for Jack Grealish when he's 30. And people are like, whoa, I don't know about that, you know?
Big question marks over this new Liverpool leadership.
Yeah, I think I could see that happening. And then that being like an okay signing, but it's still a club that like we want you to score goals and assists like regularly and compete for yourself. Yeah. But somewhere like an Aston Villa, you know, that is perfect for him because he can just do what he wants. He could just be the main man, and it's not all about, you know, winning all the time. But yeah, tough to see him come on there and getting the old Pep treatment live on screen. He was also getting in the middle between Gabriel and Haaland, who looked like they're having quite a professional kind of conversation about like tactics and defending, and like, hey, you know, you had a good game, but you know, this, that, fouling, whatever. Pep came in the middle and was like half joking and laughing, and it was like all very kind of pantomime stuff, you know.
Yeah, and you have to think, like, I don't know, I think when Pep does that with players, surely there's Man City fans watching that now who think, Grealish must have been doing the wrong thing. I don't like Grealish now as much. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's so unnecessary. It just creates something that doesn't need to be there for the player.
Yeah, it would bring kind of attention that they don't really need, especially when you're not playing well. It's like, he came on as a sub, and like, was it really Jack Grealish's fault that he didn't win the game for them?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like he tried.
They're all doing the same system.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who's there.
Remember, he tried this with Haaland. He just walked away and then batted the camera against Fulham, and like, you know, that I think that's the way you need to do it. You know, but again, I think for Haaland, he's in the position of like, I'm going to play every week, and if they don't, then it's actually your head here. So like, they'd be calling for me to play it, not for Jack Grealish to play. That's the thing. So he has to kind of stand there and take it and be like, oh, I hate this. You know, I know everyone's watching him. You know, I know everyone's watching this. Like, do that in the dressing room. Like, I know we probably said this exact conversation before when he's done it before, but like, it's so unnecessary. Like, it doesn't need to be said right there and then. You can say it behind closed doors, like in 10 minutes, you know, but it means that Liverpool go top of the league because they won at Brighton.
They did indeed, and they looked good doing it too, even though they went down a goal from Welbeck, who seems to score every week we do the podcast.
You know, Welbeck has like 75 Premier League goals in like 15 years.
It feels like he's 7,000.
No.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever watched a Brighton game where he hasn't scored.
He never scores. And it's just like, I imagine if you're a Liverpool fan or an Arsenal fan, whoever who's playing Brighton, when Danny Welbeck scores, like, oh, now he scores. This is the week he doesn't, like, he had about 3 or 4 chances. He did the same thing twice where he lashed in the side net, and I was like, oh, you used to do that in 2009, you know, for United. And he's still doing that same, like, bad choice, bad decision. Like, I'll kick from here. It's like, you're never going to score from there, Danny. You're never going to beat the keeper, first of all. And the angle is too tight. You're not even going to target. But he does it over and over again. And then every now and again, he scores an unbelievable goal. Yeah, Liverpool were definitely a contrasting style because they were really attacking, left big gaps. They were killing him on that left wing. Adringa was just destroying Conor Bradley down that side. And that's what Danny Welbeck got the cutback. He got the goal from that side as well. They probably could, like, if they scored 2 goals there, I think it might have been very, very quiet Anfield, and that might be like, oh God, you know, this is starting to fall apart from us. But I think actually the referee did a huge service for Liverpool in this game. Some of the decisions were so bad, it actually got the crowd going. Like, there was like very little to be happy about. They were 1-0 down, getting killed on that one side. You must have like, oh, this is bad. There's no one to bring it on. You know, this is it. We're going to get killed here. But the decisions were so like inconsistent and bad that it got the crowd riled up, and there was ironic cheers every time Liverpool got a free and stuff. It was like the referee saved them in this game by being bad. It was crazy.
Yeah, it felt like Anfield rose to its feet of like, they're trying to screw us again.
Yeah, that's all they had, because there was nothing to cheer on the pitch until those decisions were going against them. Mac Allister had a great game.
Unreal, yeah. A rare game, it felt like, where we talk about it loads, that thing of like, you never see a Ronaldinho anymore. Like, you know, the flair's been stamped out of the game. He was flair galore in this game. He was doing fucking back heels everywhere. He was just flicking balls overhead. He was a joy to watch.
I think it's one of those things when you leave a club to go to a quote unquote bigger club, usually for more money or for more trophies, whatever the fuck it is, you know. When you go back, when the old club comes to visit, it's usually like, I don't want this now. I don't want to have to, you know, face these ironic cheers or face the boos or face any of that. And you often see them lose against the team they were sold from and go, oh, wow, how that happened. They kind of shrink in that because, like, I don't, actually care about this club. First of all, I'm from Argentina, so I don't know why they boo me so much. I think it was Mahrez was like genuinely shocked when he was getting booed by Leicester. And he's like, I won the league here, did I not? That was me, wasn't it? That was this club? I'm not wrong in thinking that. He was shocked they were booing him when he was at Man City. But that didn't seem to affect Mac Allister at all. He was like, I'm going to absolutely win this game. No chance of losing to these guys. You know, fucking standing ovation at the World Cup or not, I'm going to win this game.
Yeah. It felt like he went into the game, something that you don't really see in games where teams play, like players play their own teams, where he was like, I know every player's weakness here.
Yeah.
I'm going to, every time I'm on the ball, I'm going to absolutely skin someone.
Yeah, he was very good in the game. Salah had about 100 shots, desperate to get in that score sheet. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's important to have the shots, I guess. You know, it keeps them busy while the other players are making passes and trying to score good goals. I don't know.
What did you make of, did you see Nunez, the most Nunez shot I'd ever seen, where it was a diving header, but he just literally launched himself at the ball. And then the ball kind of ricocheted out. And while he was on the ground, he spun his body as hard as he could on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So his foot would just, he didn't even kick the ball. He just swung his leg at it and he nearly scored.
I think the goalie was like trying to put his hand up to say it's gone out, or he handballed it and he just kicked off the guy's leg. It could have gone in, but yeah, completely contrast to the measured, controlled approach of City trying to break a team down. It was like utter chaos, and then like a bit of unbelievable quality from Szoboszlai and Mac Allister to get Salah that last ball and get it in to get the 2-1. It was much more enjoyable to watch, but a bit of an audition for De Zerbi. Do you think, Will?
I don't know. Yeah, Alonso's after confirming that he's staying at Leverkusen by the look of it, much to the annoyance of every Premier League fan in the world who had it all sewn up.
Did you hear what Richard Keys had to say?
No, goody.
Oh, man. He questioned the man's cojones. That the quote. Genuinely said he questioned the man's cojones. Said it was like a cowardly move not to go to Real Madrid or Liverpool or Bayern. You know?
That's the smartest thing he could possibly have done. I'll stay at this club. Suss out Liverpool. There's always time for Liverpool. There's always time for Madrid. Let's not go replace Klopp now after 1 week and then, you know, the first bad game, they want me out because I'm not him.
Yeah, it's always that tough one. I think the first time I remember it was David Moyes.
Yeah.
And it was like huge boots to fill, you know, but when will you get this opportunity again?
Yeah.
That was all what people kept saying. I was like, well, if he's good enough, he will get it again. If he's not good enough, then he's set himself up for disaster. Is that not like, you know, like if you're Alonso, you look at this, because, okay, I have to replace Klopp at Liverpool. Tough ask. You're looking at, you got to be competing for the league, which they won, and the Champions League, which they also won. Like that's the kind of level you're at. You look at examples like when in the Premier League where Ferguson left and Wenger left, someone comes in afterwards to kind of soak up the negative energy after everyone's dad left. You know, you're coming in to replace their dad, essentially. You don't want to be that guy, you know?
No. Again, people were clamoring for Ryan Giggs.
Yeah, give it Giggsy in the season. Remember that? Like,
yeah.
This you want to get to that level first. You want to say give it to
Gerrard.
Give it to Gerrard. Give it to Henderson at the end of the season. You know, you want them to get to that level, and you go, okay, now I'll come in. You know,
they're desperate.
Like everyone's saying, like, oh well, Bayern are going to come back now stronger. You'll never win the league again with Leverkusen. It's like, well, maybe he will. You know, no one said he was going to win it this year. You know,
no, he's just gone he's nearly gone invincible.
Yeah, I mean, Bayern lost to the weekend. First time lost to Dortmund since 2019.
Yeah,
5 years. So, like, it is a bad season by Bayern standards as well. It wasn't like Bayern have been as good as they always have, and then they've just been better. Bayern have been bad. They've been very good. It is Bayern, and you'd imagine they'll probably buy at least one of the Leverkusen players by the end of the year.
Surely.
But, like, again, it's like, if you're just, like, on this one-hit wonder, then, you know, Liverpool's going to be a disaster anyways. Like, for your own health and stress. Like, why would you go to a place and think, well, I'm actually not good enough for that, but I'll never get offered again. I thought that time David Moyes, like, well, you know, if you're good enough, you'll be offered loads of jobs, you know. But
exactly.
I guess it's like the Real Madrid job is always kind of open, semi-open. Bayern will be open, obviously, when Tuchel goes. Like, that'll always be there. Do you know that? Like, if you're a good German manager, that will always be there.
Like it makes more sense to wait for Madrid than Liverpool, I think, because like look what it's done for Zidane, where you have some success and then you just disappear. There's not a job in the world where he's not linked with now. Do you know what I mean? Like anytime any big club needs someone, he's always the top name in the media. He's this mysterious figure. It's nearly better to just stay away from the big clubs for as long as you can. Not like, obviously Zidane was at Madrid, but not to do the Premier League thing just because, it's available.
Yeah, I just think Klopp would be a tough act to follow.
Yeah.
Madrid is always going to be tough, but it's a good time to join Madrid. That's the other thing. It's a pretty good time to join that Madrid team. I think it's actually a harder thing to do than to stay with Leverkusen than to go with Bayern. Because Bayern they'll buy well again this summer. They'll be thereabouts anyways.
The thing with Bayern at the moment though is it feels like they've had a string of bad decisions in a row. It's like, do you want to be involved? Do you want to be one of them? Because they're turning on things very quickly there. It seems like managers and players and all sorts. So I don't know. I don't think it would take much for him to come in and for him to be like, right, we got it wrong again. Who's next?
Yeah, I think it doesn't really do much for someone's career being at Bayern, because it's like you win the league. That's a prerequisite. Obviously, every year you should win the league, and then it's like Champions League, which is hard to do. It's really hard to do that. So, like, if unless you do that, then you're not really a success. And then they kind of want you to do it in kind of a new and exciting way as well. You got to put your own style to it as well. So Bayern's a really tough place to go if, like, for your second kind of big job. I think all the jobs at the moment, Liverpool, Bayern, or Real Madrid, it'd be tough jobs to go to. Maybe it's best to give another go at Leverkusen and then reassess in the next summer. But I don't think it's about bravery. I think it's probably just like, if I'm good enough next year, the job will sleep there. No point just taking it just because we're there and then like, this is way too big of a job for me. I know how to do this,
If I made a huge career decision like that and Richard Keys wrote a blog saying it was the wrong idea, I would think, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right track.
Yeah, do the opposite of what Keys says. Yeah. We also had Newcastle playing West Ham. Well, long overdue, but a return to Harvey Barnes watch. He's back.
Oh, thank
Remember
God.
that?
The skies have opened.
The one-time Aston Villa confirmed signing, Newcastle player now. I thought that they were going to win the league with Harvey Barnes. I thought he's so good. Him and Isaac up front, if they can stay fit, sky's the limit. And they did not stay fit at all. Two of them.
I think literally the moment you said that, we never saw him again.
Yeah, he's had a lot of trouble with injuries. Harvey Barnes came back there against West Ham. They were 3-1 down. Harvey Barnes comes on and scores 2, the third and the fourth goal.
There's still time for him to turn it around.
I mean, look, is it Rashford? Is it Sterling on the left? I think it's Harvey Barnes. I think it's Harvey Barnes, my friend. I'm sure Southgate's brave enough to make that kind of decision at the last hurdle there, just to change around and go, I'm bringing Harvey Barnes. Forget Rashford, you're out. Yeah, he scored 2. Isaac scored 2 pens. 1 penalties by Anthony Gordon. 2, they're not dives, but he bought them, we'll say,
One of them is one of the maddest penalty calls I've ever seen in my life.
The Calvin Phillips one.
The one where I think it was Calvin Phillips tried to kick a ball and Anthony Gordon jumped in front of the kick from behind him and got a penalty. I
literally remember seeing Timo Werner do that for Chelsea and not getting a penalty. I was like, fuck off, Timo. As if you were going to score if you got the ball anyways, And the rule was like, that's literally not a penalty because there's no intent to it. You're trying to kick the ball. He didn't see you.
He didn't even know you're there. Yeah.
I'm fairly sure that's the rule. Like, that's not meant to be a penalty, but nevertheless, he got that one. He got another one where he just dived across, I think it was Kufal. Same thing, trying to clear the ball. And he got the penalty again. So I guess it was consistency, but sneaky stuff from Anthony Gordon, I have to say. Yeah. Not a fan of that kind of stuff. Yeah, like I said, it was West Ham went 3-1 up. Antonio and Bowen got the goals. Bowen had this weird celebration and had to look it up what it meant. He had like one hand over his ear and the other one was doing the Spider-Man, where I thought it was Spider-Man. So I looked it up and it's an homage to DJ Spider Raji. He's an MC, Will.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone listening is, as we were saying, they're going, it's Spider Raji, I know.
Yeah, it's probably old news. But yeah, I mean, he thought he had it won. It was 3-1 up. Heady out, how out probably was going to be start trending, and then Harvey Barnes comes on to save it for them. It would have been a big blow for Newcastle if they lost that game, especially after the Tonali news broke. Was it last weekend or just before last weekend?
Yeah, never good when news breaks that your player who's been banned was doing the thing that he's banned for on the day he got banned.
I mean, to be fair, does sound like addiction.
Yeah. This one, much more so than the Ivan Toney one. When I heard that, I was like, this poor fella needs some help. Any interview with Ivan Toney, I was like, he seems like a gobshite.
Ivan Toney said he wasn't addicted ever. He said, no, I used to spend it, but then I never spend more than I made, so I just did it because I wanted to.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, not that I knew it was bad. But yeah, I do feel bad for Tonali that like he got caught. I was like, oh, I'm so stressed. I just need to put a bet on to calm my nerves, you know. I was like, no, don't do that. That's what I got caught for. Like that is genuine addiction that you've been caught. Yeah. Jig is up, and like I'm going to put one more bet on, just one more thing on.
So he's probably thinking, sort of already banned me. What are they going to do? Ban me again? Yes.
No, well, this is me. I don't think it was even that conscious. I think it was just like I'm. It's compulsive now. I can't stop, even though I'm caught and I'm in big trouble. I'm just put one more on just to, you know, because I need to. Like, see that clip of him going around of him not going off the pitch, getting a yellow card?
No. Oh, no.
There's one where he's taken off. I don't know. I think it was last year. He's getting taken off. You know, like there's like a double change and the Howe and your man are talking and the lines was there. And so now he's walking off and he's stopped there just before the sideline, because they can't go on before the commander. Who's coming on? Maybe Anthony Gordon or someone's coming on. He's like, what are you doing? Get off the pitch. He's like, what the hell? He's like pretending to object to something and talking to someone. Lance like, get off the pitch. And he's standing there until the ref comes over. I was like, you're booked. And Howe's like, oh, why? Why did you do that? And just walks off.
Come on, yes.
It's like the most obvious like match fixing you ever see. I mean, this is probably how he got caught. If you're a bookie, you saw that, and you saw somebody in like Bologna put a bet on him to get booked. Like, all right, that's a bit weird.
10 grand.
That's quite strange. That he just like, on or off the pitch? I'm not sure how the substitution works anymore. And just the ref were like, what are you doing? Everyone looked at him like, what are you doing? And he just walked off.
Now, this is the thing I don't understand, right? Like obviously he must have some kind of, compulsive addiction, which is terrible. But I just don't understand players with this much money. I always thought the same about the Michael Jordan thing, where he was mad at gambling. It's like, how much money do you need? If you have all the money, you're going to get a little bit more if you gamble. Why don't you just fucking buy an apartment and rent it out or something? Like,
it's not. I don't think it's about the money. I think it's the thrill of it, and then
It's just so bizarre.
I mean, the Michael Jordan conspiracy was that he was out of money and he got a loan from the mob.
Yes,
and he didn't pay them back, and that's why they killed his dad.
Yeah, that is not really mentioned in the documentary, but you could put two and two together yourself.
I will say that's just a conspiracy. There's never been any proof. No one's ever come out and said that's just kind of one of those things that goes around. Because it was a weird thing that these guys robbed Michael Jordan's dad and killed him in a car and left him. And
yeah, it
was a very strange thing, but it's America, so it's not really that strange. But I think this is where they get into these situations where they if you're making over 30 grand a week, you think, sure, that'll never run out. And then it does, like, oh shit, But if it's like you're done for betting and you bet again, that's a compulsion. So like you have no money left in the bank. Okay, I need to get money off someone. You go to a loan shark, you go, listen man, I make 30 grand a week. I'll have it back by Friday. And then you spend it all, you gamble it all away. And that is what addiction is. But it's not been a great standing for Newcastle, despite his obvious problems. But it's mad how high it was at the start of the season. If I'd known this was going to come, if I knew that they weren't going to have anybody fit and there's players going to get banned and injured, I mean, it'd be a very different story. But what are they now? Like, are they 10th still, Newcastle? They're still kind of languishing around the mid-table there.
They're languishing down there. And Tonali wasn't the only midfielder from the two teams who had a bad week.
Oh, yeah.
Phillips also had a particularly brutal game. Gave away a penalty, which, again, like, gave away a penalty, kind of.
Not really his
fault. But some of the fans after the game, some of the West Ham fans apparently have kind of, had enough of him, not really, in their eyes, given the most effort week to week or not putting in the best performances.
Yeah.
And a video started circulating of a West Ham fan, giving it to him after the game as he was walking out to his car or whatever.
Yeah.
And rather than just, head down, get in the car, you're only on loan here, Calvin, don't do anything silly. He stopped and he stuck up his middle finger at the West Ham fans, which obviously enraged them further before he drove away in his lovely car.
I think it was the bus, to be fair.
Bus, yes, sorry.
But still, you don't do that.
No, don't do that. You're on loan, man.
Yeah, no, well, it's not been a great loan move for him because all he had to do was play consistently okay, and Southgate would have played him in all the internationals and said, I trust him, he's one of my guys. And he didn't have to be outstanding. Like his teammate James Ward-Prowse, has been really consistent all year, not going to look it. And all of it had to do was turn up, play okay, not give away too many penalties, and he'd be on the plane to the Euros. But he's been so ineffective for West Ham. It just hasn't worked out for him that he's probably not going to go to the Euros. He's not going to be kept on by West Ham. And Man City be looking to offload him to anybody, probably whoever comes up from the Championship next year. So, yeah. And then some clown is going to say to you, you're shy. He's like, oh, God, I could see it. I could see that reaction. But yeah, I think he probably regrets it. I'm sure he could take that back if he wanted to, but if he could. But yeah.
It's funny as well because like we were saying about Grealish earlier of Pep's public, putting down of players is the panto thing. He's the perfect example of Pep ruined his career pretty much by, I don't know what it was like behind the scenes, but coming out in the press conference basically saying he's too fat to play and then never playing him and then sending him on loan. It's all right, prove me wrong, Calvin. And it's it's very tough to prove a manager that. Calvin Phillips isn't just going to immediately, after not playing for half a season, switch it on and be the best player in the league. So I don't know. I just think he was doomed to fail from Pep, and it's spiraled since then.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird thing that City do. They kind of stockpile players kind of as options for, games that they don't care about, or maybe just so other teams don't have them. Like Kovacic, obviously, he's at City now, and he's kind of playing there when people are injured. Who's your other man? Nunes from Wolves, the boss. They said was the best player in the world at one point. And they said, no, I didn't mean that. That was just, I was doing that thing where I lie about people. That's, why is he there? He never gets to play. But, he'd be better off at Wolves for his own career. They'll be cycled in now this year or next year. They'll be, all right, get rid of them. It's why did you take, you never really want them. You never thought he's better than Rodri.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's very unfortunate when you get bought to, because you think I'm good enough to make this team, and then you're not, but then you're contracted in and you're trying to break into the team. And again, Pep has all the power. Like Cancelo said last week, he can go out and just say something, and it's why would he lie? What would he have to gain from that? If you believe him. Oh, actually, I forgot about something that actually happened to me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's semi-football related. Probably should start a show with this, to be honest. You know how I'm down here in Kilkenny, it's a big touristy town, so people love coming down here and seeing the sights, seeing the castle, all that stuff. Yeah, I was doing a walking tour, the Medieval Mile. I'd recommend it. It's a great old tour. But I was walking along there along High Street, and there was a guy walking across the street past me, but at an angle. So we're walking straight up the street. He's kind of walking past me, crossroad at an angle. And I'm wearing my hat. I'm wearing this hat. The Arsenal bruised banana hat. Yeah. And I'm walking by, and he says, "Fuck the Arsenal."
Wow.
In front of the whole tour,
Whoa.
Now he just said he's walking by, and he just he didn't confront me or anything, just kind of like a snake, kind of fuck the Arsenal, I was like, what the hell? And no one else in the tour knew what it was at us. Who's the Arsenal? What Arsenal? There's Americans there. They've literally no clue what it was. I could be an American for all they know. I could have got this off my Irish cousin. He's no idea, but he decided to shout that out during the tour. And really took the wind out my sail, to be honest. I was like, okay, now I feel awkward around this.
That would. Okay, I'm never wearing anything football related again.
On a Saturday afternoon in the middle of broad daylight to shout that out at somebody, I just thought it was, crazy. Probably Man United fan, but I thought, a bit much.
You know what? He could be. You know what'd be good if he was a listener to the pod, but had never seen what you look like.
So why would you? So we think he listens to this now.
Maybe that'd be a good twist.
Yeah, well, if you are listening to that now, that was really on call for, man. And
Yeah. Hey, fuck you, man.
hey, man, like, why the hell did you do that? Ruined my Saturday.
You embarrassed them in front of the whole walking tour.
And it was one of those things that people kind of guessed they said to me, but they had no idea what any of the words he said were.
Yeah.
The Arsenal. What the hell is that? You know, are you a part of some kind of cult? What is that? Like, and I was like, what the hell? I was pretending I didn't know what it meant, even though I knew exactly. It was like, that's my hat. That's after my Arsenal hat, you know. But yeah, it's a jungle out there, folks. Mind your. I mean, I try not to wear my Arsenal hat, both kind of figuratively and real life.
On your sleeve.
On my sleeve and on my head, you know. On the pod in real life. I try not to wear the Arsenal hat too much, but I don't think we wear much more anymore. Jesus, it's really take me out. But maybe when we win the league, I'll have to stick it back on, you know. In the middle of May, I'll get my Arsenal hat back on.
Go wandering the streets of Kilkenny looking for that man.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Where are you now, huh? There was one other game, the Man United game, Will.
Yes, like you said, that might have just been a Man United fan who
Could
it was after the Brentford game. And maybe he's just
No, it was before.
Maybe he was excited for it. He was all wound up. But because if it was after, I could see why Stranger would be like, fuck off. Fuck everything to do with football. Because that's how I felt watching the game. I had a moment, Kyle. It's officially confirmed. I'm normally pretty chill with managerial appointments and things like that.
Yeah.
He's got to go, blood. This is it. It was one game too many. And because I've noticed when I was watching the game, this is, I think, the worst manager has been at United without getting sacked since Fergie.
He's successfully lowered the bar of expectation.
Yeah, and there's not even a clamour for him to be gone. But this is also much worse because results-wise, it's not going well. But also, every other manager, they lost the dressing room, and that was when they got sacked. Every single one. Except, I know Van Gaal did as well a bit. They all did. They all lost dressing room, plus the bad results, you're gone. This one, he hasn't lost the dressing room. We're just tactically terrible. Which surely that's worse. Yeah,
I think it's not looking good for them. And we said this last week that there's not any kind of style of play, and I think it's a lot of teams have had this before where like there's injuries and it's kind of a team in transition or whatever, and it feels kind of bleh, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no one reason to blame, you know. Like before when it was the defense or something. It was like, you got to sort that defense out, you know, you got to get a centre back in, you know, and then they would get Harry Maguire in, and then it was something else. I don't know. It just, I feel like a whole mess of problems with the takeover and everything else. He's probably just kind of slipped through the cracks. I think United fans have resigned themselves to not competing for the title long ago, you know, this season. So it's just kind of slided into this kind of level of, well, you know, we're not a very good team, you know, what can you do?
Because I was looking it up. So United have the exact same amount of points at this stage of the season as they did in the Ranić Ollie season, which was a total disaster. But again, that was in a season where the players weren't fucking bothered. They were just walking around. So like this is much. This is all of the players giving their all, like we saw in the Liverpool game. But it's just like there's gaping holes all over the pitch and stuff like that. It feels like, like you said, the squad is like there's injuries, but even the squad they play, it's always like, yeah, everyone's pretty good. So it's like now it's all on the manager. Yeah,
I think it's not as straightforward as he's lost dressing room, get him out. It's like they're all over the place with and it's like he's inherited bad players, there's injuries. It's hard to kind of lay at his door, you know. And then they drew that game, didn't lose, but. Yeah, I think people are just maybe, in terms of Man United fans, are probably just a bit kind of sick of it, you know, uninterested by it anymore. They've just lost energy to care about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I just, you know, I'll check in next season, see if something happens, but I'm not bothered anymore.
Because I have like 3 stats here from the game. So if you heard this about any of the other past United managers, you would definitely be like, well, he has to go. So Brentford hit the post 4 times. The second most in Prem history. The last time they hit more was also against United. Brentford had 31 shots, the most they've ever had in a Premier League game. It's the 6th time in the last 7 games United have faced 20 plus shots. And Brentford had 85 touches in the Man United box. the third team to record that many since Opta began in 08-09.
Nice. Since Opta's up those stat farms, chain people to desks and typing in numbers. A moment in history.
Yeah, so it's like, again, this is all, the problems were all tactical in this one, it felt like. So it's like, Jesus, how does he survive in week to week? Well, like I said, it's just, people are used to it now. But I'm putting my flag up. I want him gone.
Yeah.
I'm done. Tapping out.
Ten Hag out.
Ten Hag out. I'm saying it.
Yeah, I heard actually someone asked Ange Postecoglou, is he worried now because United are kind of behind them? Is he worried, you know, they obviously looking ahead of them for Villa, but they also look behind them. United are only 8 points off. And he said, yeah, well, mate, we're only 8 points off Man City. I think we're chasing them.
Oh, ouch.
Ange Postecoglou obviously took that as a sign of disrespect that you would even say they're 8 points behind us and they're playing like shit. How are they chasing us? It's like saying we're chasing Man City because we're 8 points off. It's like, it's only a couple of games that they win, that we win, they lose. It's like, yeah, well,
again,
if my granddad had a, you know,
no Man United manager is withstanding that level of respect in the last 10 years. They'd be gone instantly. Like, you can't have other managers saying things like that about you.
But it's true, you know. You can't be looking at United and saying, well, if they win the next few games in a row, it's like, whoa, hang on there, you're getting ahead of yourself. Win the next few games in a row, you know.
Yeah, if they win the next 6 games, maybe they'll be level on points with you and 24 goals behind you in goal difference. Like,
yeah, that's the level that United are at now, and I think people are just maybe exhausted by it. You know, no energy left to kind of fight this corner. They're just going to let it. Hopefully, Radcliffe can work his magic again and sort this club out. You know, get their club back. Another
manager who has been mentioned lately. This is something we've been on this case since day one, before anyone else was.
Oh yeah.
Ireland had confirmed we have a manager lined up in April. Secret manager. As soon as the international games are up, we've got him. And we said from day one, not true. That's a lie. They're making that up because they don't have anyone. And then it came out in the news this week on RTE. So the Irish state broadcaster, they can't lie, Carl. They're not allowed.
Why would they? They've nothing to gain from that.
No, they came out and said that Gus Poyet, so after the last international break, was offered the Ireland job that day. So literally in April, this is the guy, this is the secret manager. And he turned it down. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could he turn it down if he's already confirmed it? They were lying.
Yeah, and I knew it. John O'Shea would get the job. It's been like a loss and a draw. He's proven his worth. Secret manager was a lie the whole time. It was a way to leverage their position against other managers. Like, if you say, yeah, actually the position's been filled, so it's all right. And then you're like looking this in the news kind of with half live, maybe I would take that job. And then you get a phone call from them saying, we'd like to interview you for the job. It's like, that's funny, I read that was filled. Oh, no, well, we're just looking at options. You'd be like, okay, they're desperate. They're lying publicly about this. Like, it doesn't strengthen the position at all.
No.
You'd say, yeah, we're actively looking. Just be honest, you know? We're looking for the best person. And then when you ring someone, it's like, you're the best person.
Yeah.
You know? And if they ask you, how many people they rang before me, don't tell them. Lie to the men. You know, that's when you lie. You say, you're the first, Gus. Of course you're the first person. You're the first person on our list.
We shouldn't have known anything about the Irish manager search. They should have just stayed silent. It would have been very frustrating, but it would have looked much better than them going, oh no, yeah, we do have someone. Just wait till April. Then you'll see.
Ideally, you do before you sack the current manager, so you have some lined up. You know, you don't wait to sack the current manager and say, right, who's available? Who wants this? Oh, not many people. You know, maybe it's because if they'd done that and they got no one, then they would have said, well, now we know that's a bad idea to sack the manager. Yeah. Whereas if you do it without knowing, you go, well, we didn't know that we don't want to replace him when we sacked him. But if you do know, then it shows that you're bad at it. I don't know. I don't know what the thinking was, but it has been a bit of a disaster for them.
And I was thinking this as well. I don't think we'd actually talked about this, but isn't it insane that obviously the reason they're going with Gus Poyet was because Gus Poyet said in a press conference before he played us that he'd like to manage us. That's the only reason. He wouldn't even be on the radar otherwise.
No, they just lost in playoff to Georgia to get the same competition that we're trying to get into. You know, like, he's not even that much better. Like, it's just they have slightly better players. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a disaster. It's an utter disaster. Like, has John O'Shea, I know that was his interim manager for those 2 games, has he been told, clear out your stuff?
It doesn't
Is
seem
he still,
like it.
does he still have the office there? Does he still have access to the building? Does his key card still work? Or is it kind of, oh, we'll have to reactivate that now for you, John? Or just like, because if they've kept it open, then he knows already. He's like, okay, well, they haven't, I'm still getting emails. I'm still subscribed to the office email.
But like, there was no big interview like on FAI's YouTube of like, well, John, how did you enjoy your time as interim manager?
No. And everyone's dying for content these days, so that's an easy one. The exciting John O'Shea era continues. Steady you mean to go on, in absolute chaos and confusion. I think that's probably our best bet to get to the World Cup. I think there's Champions League back this week, is it?
Well, no, there's Premier League.
Next week. Premier League is on probably already. We've probably missed a round as you're listening to it.
The hell are you doing?
You're probably thinking, oh, that huge event that happened in the Premier League games midweek. I bet they're talking about that in this episode. Nope. We missed that.
Weird.
That's
weird. We haven't mentioned the explosion in the Premier League. Yeah.
Yeah. The terror attack really upset the fixtures this week, huh?
It's going to be really annoying if there's a terror attack now, I tell you.
Oh, well, we can add that in, and then we can... Oh, well, then no, we shouldn't then, because then we'll be suspects if we knew out before the event.
It'd be insane if there was a terror attack and our first reaction is like, oh, the podcast.
Oh, we have to do an emergency pod. Not like call your family or anything, like, oh, we have to get this on air. We have to get a reaction.
The second captains are going to be on this.
Yeah, so we have Premier League Tuesday, Wednesday, and then next week we've got Champions League back, isn't
it? We are approaching our favorite time of the year, Kyle. Squeaky bum time.
Oh, the squeakiness of the bum.
Yeah.
Not anything to do with the cleanliness of the bum.
No.
Squeaky clean.
We learned that last year over the course of several weeks.
We learned it the hard way. Yeah. It's the squeaking of butts on seats because you're getting closer and closer to the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
Which does make you think you could just said edge of the seat time rather than like there's already a phrase for it. Maybe it's a Scottish thing. Maybe in Scotland they say something else, but I mean, it's edge of the seat time. I don't know. Maybe it has the same ring to it. Anyhow, we're getting there. We're getting there. We would really appreciate it if you told other people about this pod. If you like it, of course. If you don't like it,
just say fuck off to Kyle in the street.
See someone wearing a Bruce Banner hat, might be me. Say fuck the Arsenal and embarrass me in front of my girlfriend and her parents. It'll be really good, really funny. No, if you do like it, tell people. I saw a thing the other day. Someone was complaining about online hate. It's one of those, they kind of retweet the video on Instagram. I don't know how to do it anymore. And then someone like cuts in and goes, by the way, if you're posting online, 80% of the people watching are making fun of you. So get ready for that. You got to be prepared for people to hate you if you want to post online. Get over it. I was like, fuck, 80%.
That's more than I thought.
I was hoping like maybe 20% probably are people laughing at us or making fun of us. But 80, whoa, I don't know if I'm ready for that. But if you're in the 80 or 20, depending on what the split is, of people who hate us or who are making fun of us, tell more people. Make fun of us more.
Yeah, spread the word.
Spread the word. There's 2 idiots doing a podcast with no real analysis or stats, just vibes.
Stick it on your story with a hashtag losers or something.
Yeah. Can you believe these freaks are still doing this? Tell your friends. And if you do like us, then absolutely tell your friends. There's a rating system on Spotify that I don't know if there's anything for us, but it looks cool to have a lot of ratings, 5-star ratings. If you want to rate it 5 stars, you can follow the pod as well. I think if you follow the pod and it tells you when the new episodes are out.
Very handy, I will say. Because especially now that we do the Patreon previews, there's no real set time for them to drop. So handy to follow us. You'll get a little notification, a little ding on your phone when there's a new episode out, and you can add it straight to your library or whatever you want to do. You can do that on Spotify or Apple or any of them. They're all either the word subscribe or follow. There's, branding. They all have different words for it.
So thanks very much for listening. And again, tell your friends or your enemies about this pod and maybe they can listen in hate.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. nonsense. All nonsense.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed about that question, but you thought obviously it's good.